Welcome, everybody, to the business planning session for 2024. I hope that everyone has started off the year with a bang, but if you haven't, now's the time. The first screen I have up in front of you is our Y21 landing page on our website. And the reason why I put it up here is just for some opportunities on the side, maybe a bit of homework for you, to do one or two things here. And one is to take a personality test for successful real estate career. We often use this for new agents to sort of see if they'd be well suited for real estate. And to be honest with you, it doesn't matter your personality style or whatnot, whether you're organized, unorganized, outgoing, introvert, you can leverage what you do well and be successful in real estate. But this gives you a really good overview of how to leverage some of that style and personality that each of us have. So that's kind of neat. And then the business assessment, we put this together just to sort of outline and rate yourself on how well you think you are in certain aspects of your business. So that gives a good creative overview of what you were doing in the past, what you currently are doing, and what you might want to focus on this year. So those two exercises are available on y21.ca. Today, I'm going to start off just talking about your mindset. And overall, do you have a fixed mindset? Does this sound like you? You give up easily. Potential is predetermined. Failure is a limit of my abilities. My intelligence is static. I avoid challenges. I stick to what I know. Feedback and criticism is personal. I never improve. I'm either good at it or I'm not. There's no point in trying. That's a fixed mindset. You're never going to grow with that. The growth mindset, of course, is you like to try new things. I can learn to do what I want. Failures offer opportunity and growth. My intelligence can be developed. I embrace challenges. I learn from feedback. I keep trying and never give up. I'm inspired by other people's success. My mistakes help me grow, and I know this will help me even though it's difficult. And when you're looking at your business plan this year, you're really going to look at ways to grow, strengths and weaknesses, and things that you're going to put in place and actionable items. I'm going to be going through quite a few things today, and it's important that you write down and obviously download the business plan, but make sure you have a plan and focus on the things that are probably more higher priority, foundational things to get accomplished. January, February is the time to get organized. So now it's refocusing and focusing on the things that will make the greatest impact this year, but try not to take it on all of it, right? So if you're starting up your career or find that you're going back to the beginning and putting things together, do one thing really, really well over the next month, and then you can concentrate on the next. The other reason why I bring up mindset is because we do want to talk about real estate business. And if you have the right mindset going in, then you can determine the best courses of action to grow your business. And so I'm really going to start off with a typical sales funnel and show where business comes from and why it's important to focus on certain things first. Now, your typical sales funnel looks like this. You have your CRM, your email, marketing campaigns, social media, print newsletter programs, door knocking, cold calling, all the actionable items that allow you to grow your business. Okay. And then you are going to have that conversation and convert that business into a potential client or a client. You're going to qualify their needs. You're going to show them some properties or list their property. There's going to be an offer process where you're going to come to terms and you're going to get a contract and it's going to turn into a deal. That's your typical sales funnel. Okay. And every sales company, every salesperson is going to go through a very similar situation where you have potential clients on one end that you're going to market towards, and then you're going to convert them into a deal. That deal, okay, should be qualified as a potential income, and we're going to do that. But also, I'm going to take you through an exercise that capital investment companies, when they got into real estate in the US, and it was a few years back, we're going probably back about 10 years ago, where these large organizations, and we're talking organizations that have billions of dollars, and they are looking to invest in certain sectors. Some are in technology and some are, but what they're looking to do is, okay, we're going to get into the real estate business. And it's because there's so much money driven in real estate that we want to participate. So these large companies decided to put them the test of cost acquisition and potential return on investment and all this, and they put a lot of effort towards this. And what they did was they decided to come up with, first of all, a cost acquisition of a client in real estate. And to define that, and so you have a good idea what that is, it is the cost associated with acquiring a new client. It can include advertising, marketing, other promotional activities. It also can include cost of time spent on networking and prospecting for new clients. So as you can see here on the right-hand side, all that CRM, the door-to-door, the local events, pop buys, online presence, social media, they said if we had a healthy agent, what sort of value are we going to put in the dollars and that it would take to get a client to fruition? Okay, so they're saying $2,000 a client. So if you had 10 clients, you may have spent about $20,000 on advertising. And that was what it would cost to get that one client is $2,000. So that's the first end of the funnel. And then that $2,000, as you can see going through, the average sale should be determined at the end. Now, everyone's cost acquisition all the way through to the final deal and the commissions you'll make is going to be slightly different, but they decided to do an average. Okay, so if 2,000 will make you 20,000, that's a 10 times return on your investment. And so to understand that is to know the value of your client. Now, if we decide to start to look at the other side of the funnel, okay, and we're talking about the business after the sale, okay, there is a lifetime value of your client. And they say, okay, if you just sell that client, I'll go back a screen, a house, okay, and again, remember, this is mindset, so open up your mind for this. If you sell a house to one client, the potential income, of course, is 20,000. So that is your potential income. And a lot of people would be happy with that. Get lots of clients and sell them houses, you'll make 20,000 per client. That's your typical mindset. Now let's shift that and look at these the opportunity in order to build business from that one client. And that's when you get into the lifetime value of that one client. Okay, it's the measure of the total revenue generated by that client over the course of the relationship with a real estate agent. It's calculated by taking the total amount of money that client spent on real estate service from an agent, subtracting any costs associated with servicing that client. Okay, and there's a potential income from that lifetime cycle of the client. That includes a client that is going to be buying every 5 to 7 years. Okay, so over 5 to 7 years. Over the lifetime of an average real estate career, let's say 20, 25, 30 years, that potential client's worth $170,000. If you build up the referral network from that client, okay, you can, and it's a lifetime value. If you build up that that business with that client, and you were to get referrals, if you were to get a referral from the client that is worth $170,000 over the lifetime, and you get a referral here, that client is now worth $170,000. And if you get 2 referrals from that client, another 170 to 2 more referrals, 170 to so you can see where that spreads out and creates a lifetime client list. And I'm going to call these A clients. These are the ones that spread the word, your advocate, right? So the importance of one client, which is 170,000, with a good business plan. Okay, potential income over, let's say, 30 years is $3 million. So if we just go back to here for a second, how are we going to create that type of income? And we see agents in the business that have already done this. They have an amazing business plan that they've put together, not on the front end, right? So they have the front end, which is this funnel, right? And they're creating income here, but they're also creating income on the back side of that reverse funnel. And if you treat them well, they've made you to 20,000 here, you give them a closing gift, you do a 3-month pop buy over the next 20 years, every year, a year anniversary gift, a whole nurturing program, which includes all these actions, maybe a newsletter, etc. And then you convert not business from the client, but referrals from the client, which produces business. And that's when you get into this type of magic, right? And if anybody knows the Buffini system is work by referral. That's what this is. It's putting together the actionable items on the front end, back end of the funnels and creating a network of people that are spreading the word and promoting you. Now, we all know that there's other sources of income than referrals. And if you focus on this all the time, you will probably have a 10 times return on your money, which is fine, right? You'll see some of these advertising agents that have their name on billboards, their benches, etc. And they've done this. They can easily do these numbers. So if you go out and let's say spend $100,000 next year and you do a 10 times return on your money, you're going to make $1 million. And that's that is their thought process is I can spend 100,000 and I can make $1 million. That's 10 times return. And that's exactly what this is. Okay. What they fail to do sometimes when you get busy is not just leverage their money, but they forget to leverage their relationships. Let's go to the other side to create the 170,000 per person over the lifespan of a client. So you're getting referrals and referrals and referrals, and then you don't have to spend 100,000 to make $1 million. Okay, you've got a system in place that's working all the time, and you can be more effective and efficient. Today's plan, I'm gonna focus on 3 sections, and that is building out the business that you have. At the end, I am gonna go through a little bit of accountability just to give you a heads up, but I think what we really want to talk about today is what is going to drive the business in 2024. So the first section of the plan is focusing on the people that you know. Okay. And the people that you know are all already built out relationships. Everybody has a different number. And I always want to know what that number is when I coach. I want to know where we sit today. So the very first thing you're going to do is make sure that you know who you know and put that in an organized CRM. So you can look at it at any point in time and say, yeah, I've got 129 people that I've built out great relationships with that know me, because that is your targeted marketing list. And that is going to be the beginning of the foundations. And as you meet people from the other 2 sections, which is leveraging some advertising budget or leveraging some time for prospecting, that you can put them into that funnel, right? You can put them into the reminding, just little drip campaigns, little things that is going to help remind people you're in the business. Okay. So we're going to look at the people you know and leverage the existing relationships and networks. And then we're going to look into leveraging time or money, right? So the first one is money and having a budget towards advertising. I've spoken to quite a few different top producers. We're talking $1 million+ producers, and they always have their business coming from different areas. And one that I know up north, he admitted right off the bat, he was a bit of a mentor back about 15 years ago when I sat down with him. And he said, I bought my business. I came into town, I spent 100,000 in the first year and I bought it. And it was because of all the advertising I did. I just wanted to be front center. And this is what larger corporation, if you open a McDonald's tomorrow, you're going to advertise, right? Coupons and in the flyers, mail, social media, all the rest of it, so that people know where you're at and that you're the best person in town to use. So leveraging money is another way. And then of course the time. If you don't have the money to leverage because your business plan, you got into the business and you're saying, hey, listen, still got to eat, live, and all the rest. I got to build a business to make money. So if you don't have a lot of money to put into the business to grow it, you're going to leverage time. So, but I got 40, 60 hours a week, whatever. And what do I do during those 40 to 60 hours a week in order to build out your business? Well, you can put in prospecting, networking, events. These are things that you can go and participate in to meet new people, right? So that's why we look at the business plan in 3 sections. And let's just go right over to the business plan. Now, the business plan can be found in a few different areas. We are going to be putting this session up onto our Excel platform. That will allow it to be accessible at any point in time for you guys, as well up in the when you're in that video and section for business planning. We will have resource links, okay, to get this, but it is in the drive. Okay, it's 2024's business plan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide over. Just a second. Get out here. There we go. I'm going to slide over to a fillable form that we have for you. And it's divided into 3 sections. Okay. The first section is focusing on foundational sphere of influence. Everybody's business plan has to have this section, regardless. You're brand new to the business, is the most important part of your business plan for where deals are coming from. The reason why it's the most important thing, and I'm sure that you could network amongst the agents that are successful in your offices in order to back me up on this one, is the fact that it doesn't matter where you found the lead, the client, the relationship. They need to be in a nurturing system to remind them you're in the business and to market to them. And however you decide to do that and put that together, okay, it needs to be put in place, because as soon as you do get busy, whether it be through paid advertising or prospecting, you need to make sure that they are looked after. Okay, make sure they're part of the plan. They're going to get clouded. I've seen CRMs with 6,000 people in there, and I can't help that person. Why? Because I don't know where their relationships are. I know they don't know 6,000 people. And there was a nice little chart. Again, somebody very smart came up with the rule of relationships, and that is you can't have more than 1,500 relationships. It's impossible. They said, what is the limit to relationships? You can't know more than 1,500 people well. You can't. That's a lot of people, by the way. So I'm sure, you know, that I've never seen somebody with that many addresses other than a paid list, an organization where they, you know, bought it or put it into a system with all these email addresses of people that don't know you. Listen, you're just clouding who you know. And I want to be able to go in there and say, what is your number of relationships that you've built out to the point where if you stopped by their house and gave them a little gift, they would know you at the door and they would give you, you know, a big high five. But they would like an interaction with you because they know you and like you. So you need to start here with your sphere of influence and find out, well, how many people is that? And that is the hardest part. And it's the part that people struggle with, which seems strange. But if you wonder, if you're in your business right now and you're 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years into the business, and you're still struggling in order to make a career of this, of consistent income, it's because you don't have an organized list of people that you know with addresses and you're not reminding them. I know that. I know that the numbers don't lie, because every coach in this business will ask for that number and then tell you what you should be potentially making from that number. And I don't know anybody who doesn't take an agent, in terms of a coach, doesn't take an agent through this process. And if they don't, they're not really focusing on the most important thing. So what you're going to do, if you haven't already done, is you're going to open up the CRM. We provide a great CRM for Sphere of Influence. It's your Remarketer CRM. And you're going to start putting together your list of people. Open it up and start adding people in. Don't worry, we got lots of training and support for that. It's just, it really is, it should be the simplest part of technology in your system. You open up the program, it says add, it says name, you know their name, it says phone number. If you know their phone number, their email address. If you don't know where they live, you have to make those calls. And you will bump into business by just making those calls. So the very first thing that you're going to do down in the action plan below on this list is you're going to put in there, you're going to call and update CRM. And you want to do that by, let's say you give yourself 2 weeks, right? So whatever that date is, but I'll put 2 weeks. And that is the first thing. And then you're going to come up with your number. And what is your number? My number when I first got into the business was 35. It grew to 50 in the first year. The next year grew to 60 to 70 to 80 to 100. By the time I was doing, and this is back then, I was doing, let's say 20 transactions a year. Okay. I had 100 people. That's where my number was. And I always stayed pretty consistent with that. I started to have people drop off a little bit. I started to clean up my list. You know, think people that knew me, but were just, you know, friends of my parents or something like that, or friends of, they just, you know, I didn't have a really good relationship. I started to sort of clean that up and just really focused on 100 people and did them well. And that is making sure that you're, you know, calling them, stopping by, giving gifts, inviting out to events, and all the great things that you do to build out your business. So I stuck to that 100 level, and that 100 level, if you're doing the basics, and I'm saying the basics because if you're just reminding them and maybe talking to them every quarter, you should be doing 15% return on relationships. Okay. And I didn't make this number up. I have gone through so many different calculations of this number, and it always comes back to 15%. So Pam, I took this course, the Sphere of Influence course, 18 years ago when I first got into the business. And my first year was all about just absorbing all the information. And Pam did the course on Sphere of Influence, and she went through a whole chart of how you have a certain amount of relationships, and those relationships, they move to every 5 to 7 years. So we know that 100 people should give you 5 or 7 deals. Just from that, right? Just from them moving, buying and selling every 5 to 7 years. And then they know a person, and those people know people, and everybody knows at least 2 people. So out of 100 people, right, you've got another 200 potential sales. And then she broke it down from there as a percentage of those sales. And anyway, it came to about 15 deals. And if you're doing it really well, it could be as high as 30%. I have deconstructed people's business plans in the past. Really good organized CRMs with events and people investing back into the business create a return of 20 to 25% on a good, and excellent, you could be up to 30%. That means 30 deals from 100 people. So you need to know if you've done business like this. And I see, thank you, Tammy, for putting on your video. Tammy's a veteran in the business, and she's got a great sphere of influence and all the rest of it. And we've talked about it. So I know that Tammy could now say, okay, what is my number? And she would have a pretty good idea of what her number is, and then find out how many deals she did last year. Now, whatever you did last year, Tammy, double it for this year. And that is because business was cut in half last year. So whatever you did last year should double this year, because it was 50% down over the last few years. And we know that that is unfortunate. So maybe last year, if you were doing 20% return, maybe you only did 10% return last year. And that would be unfortunate, but it is the way that, the business went last year. If you happen to have done 20%, you're probably working as efficient as 40%. So, so you'd be able to tell where you're at. Now, I just did this with another agent, and they were at 7%. They did not have an organized CRM. They didn't put they weren't sending a newsletter, actually, this person was making some calls. That was they said, hey, I make my calls like I do. I call them all the time. And yeah, I did pop by and did one pop by last year. They kind of were doing certain parts of their business plan, but they weren't at anywhere close to 15%. And I said, I get excited about that. So anybody whose number is below 15%, I know if you did the things I'm going to talk about today, you will get to 15%. It works every time, right? So if you're at 50, right, and 15% you're going to do your 7 deals, right? And do 7 deals. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to put in 100 as an example, which is 15% of 100 is 15 deals. And if you're at 20,000, on average per deal, so 15 times 20, you're going to do your $300,000. That's pretty good, right? That's decent. That's your Centurion. So if you have 15 relationships, or 15, if you have 100 relationships, you could be making 300,000 next year. Now, some of you only did 150,000 because it was a really tough year, right? So don't worry. Let's put in a few more relationship things in place. Spend a little bit more focus and time on those relationships, and you'll get back up there. This year's going to be a good year, so don't worry. That first section of your business plan is just to kind of say, what did I do last year in terms of deals? Did I get them from friends and family, past clients, referrals? But in the end, really, if I'm producing 15 deals from my relationships, I should be doing $300,000 worth of business. Okay, that's 300, that's 15 deals. Now, what are the systems and action plans I want to put in place in order to get there, right? I put this in my priority sequence, okay? And people that are watching this are going, okay, this is, you want to get into the social media, and you want to get into the videos, and you want to really get out there and show people who you are and tell them, how much you know about real estate and all the rest of it. I get there's fun part of the business, but I'm doing the foundational boring part right now. Okay. Like, we can always get into innovation and ways to be creative and new and different. Okay. And that's fun, right? But I really want people to understand the importance of the basics. And these are the basics. They're going to make it a 300,000 every year from 15 people and 100 addresses. So 100 people, 100 relationships, 15 deals. And so if you go back to the newsletters, if you didn't do newsletters in the past, the reason why I'm such a big fan of it is because it's a system that's, you know, how we, you go into training and coaches and people will tell you, you know, I need systems in place. I need systems. I need systems. And sometimes people miscategorize what a system is. A system that is something that's consistent, that's always doing an action in order to produce a result. And the easiest system that's an action that consistently produces a result is something of good quality, information that's branded to you, that's about real estate, that reminds people that you're a realtor and that you're my client. And what does that? That's a system that we can implement for you the easiest way, but a newsletter, something that's sent to their house, mailed every single month, reminder, reminder, reminder. For 18 years, I've been sending a newsletter because Pam told me to do that with a sphere of influence, exactly what we're talking about 18 years ago. Within 5 years, within 3 years, I was a Centurion producer, okay, because of what she told me to do. Take your relationship, organize them, put the addresses in the system, sign them up to a newsletter, call them every quarter, and then do these, you know, at least 4 of these things really, really well. So I want to send a newsletter physically to their house every single month. And I'm going to do that. So projected units. So you do 100 newsletters a month times 12 months. You're at 1,200. Okay. And every one of those newsletters is in a system that costs to do that. So stamp on, sending it out by mail, producing it and everything. And you're about, let's say, $1.75. So 1,200 times $1.75, you're about $2,000. So I'm going to project myself, actually 2,100. Look at that, Century 21. $2,100 is my projected budget this year, okay, for a newsletter program. Right? Is that a lot of a cost? Is that is an investment in your business? Is that a lot of money? Because I hear that as a concern all the time. Well, that's, you know what, I don't have a lot of, you know, money. I don't want to invest a lot of money in my business and all the, you know, I've just, you know, I'm on a tight budget and everything. $2,100 to produce $300,000 in business is the cheapest program anyone is going to put in place in any business anywhere, other than maybe some, I don't know, technology app that maybe only cost you $2,100 to build and you made some tons of money. It's like, it's crazy the return on investment that a newsletter system will bring you in your relationships for real estate. So if we're on Shark Tank right now, or Shark Tank, what's the other one? Dragon's Den, right? They always look at business plans and they say, well, how much did you spend and how much did you make? If I show them this business plan, and they would agree with me, by the way, because they're smart, really smart, you know, business people. $2,100 is a reminder program in order to produce $300,000 in, by the way, pretty much profit, right? Other than a little bit of extra money you're going to spend, that's pure profit. It's craziness. So newsletter program, pop buys. Everybody know what a pop buy is. And for those that don't, I'm just going to quickly go over what a pop buy, popping by somebody's house, stopping by somebody's house, if you will. So when you go face to face, it's the best interaction you can do, right? It's the best form of communication. A lot of forms of communication involves that people are, you know, used to these days, or things like text message, right? DMs, emails. They're kind of, I don't like emails. You get so many spam and all the rest of it, right? And these are different forms of communication. Another one's calls, right? Maybe one of the best forms because at least you're speaking to people, right? This one's face-to-face. Number one form of communication in order to build a relationship. I always liked when I was sitting at a big seminar once, they asked everybody to stand up, and then they said, when you agree, sit down. And they started off, and at the time, I shouldn't say Donald Trump because this was before he was president, but they said, listen, hey, Donald Trump, very successful person in the business world. I should use somebody else for this example, but literally it was Donald Trump at the time. And Donald Trump was to invite you to a investment seminar, and he was to send an email. You know, how many of you would go? He's in town. And on you, like just no cost, right? How many of you go? And some people sat down and says, "Go, okay, I'd like to hear what he has to say or whatever." And then they said, "Well, what if he texted you?" Oh, more people sat down. What if he called you? Oh my God, almost the whole room. What if he came to your house, knocked on your door, and say, "I want you to come out to my seminar tomorrow. Would you come out?" Oh, for sure, 100%. This is the importance of communicating and seeing people face to face. Another good one is for those that are married. How many of you either proposed or were proposed to by text message? I would say nobody, hopefully. By email, no. Did they write a handwritten note? No. They did it face to face, down on one knee, whatever it was. Why? Because important things in life are done face to face. Anything less, right, is not relationship building. Right? You're building a relationship for life with your spouse. You're going to do that face to face. So if you're looking for a business and to sell somebody's house, millions of dollars worth of an investment there, they're going to entrust you. It's so important to be face to face to do that. So pop buys are great. How can you do pop buys if you don't have addresses? You can't. For the most part, you can't unless you know where they live unless you know where they work. So you might know where they work. You can pop by and give them a gift at work. But if you do know where they live, you can pop by. That's why it's so important as part of your action plan is update CRM. Oh, by the way, we're going to add that with addresses. And the second action plan, newsletter, right? You're going to sign people up to a newsletter program. We're going to do that in 3 weeks. And that's going to give you your number at the top, by the way. As soon as you have your newsletter program in place and you have all those addresses, that's the potential income is 300,000. So then you're going to start to go, I really want to build my relationships up and I'm going to do pop buys. And those pop buys, I'm going to do I would love to get everybody to 4 times a year to do pop buys. Okay, that is really good. And I happen to know somebody who does 4 times a year and their potential income is not even potential. They did $1 million in sales last year because they did 4 pop buys every year. Okay. You may decide this year, I'm going to do 2 sets of pop buys. So 200 pop buys and do 2 times, right? So 2 times 100. So it's actually 200 pop buys. And what am I going to put in terms of a budget for pop buys this year? Maybe $5 a pop buy, right? So you do 200 pop buys times $5. So you're going to spend $1,000 in pop buys. That can be different based on the item. You can get, AliExpress or whatever. You can get some pretty good things in bulk to hand out. By the way, if you're ever looking for pop buy ideas, just Google pop buys. Maybe type Pinterest at the end because there's a lot of great ideas, like 500 pop buy ideas, and you can get an idea what pop buys are. So that's part of your business plan. The next one is calls. Second best form of communication, of course, other than face-to-face is calls. And you're not obviously always going to hit somebody that's home. So those 200 pop buys, some of them you're going to leave the gift or not leave the gift. I tend to have left the gift. I do pumpkins, put the pumpkin with a little card. They come home, they get the pumpkin, they take a picture of it, they put it on social media. All their friends know that their realtor dropped them by a pumpkin. Like that's how these things happen, right? So let's say the face-to-face doesn't happen. You're going to make a call every quarter. Okay, you're going to make sure that you touch base 4 times a year, right? So that's 100, that's 400 calls. And that's going to cost you guys $0. That's your time. You're looking at the time or money, that's your time. Those calls, how are you going to make sure you make those calls? We're going to get into accountability and putting it into your phone and saying, yeah, this is when I make my calls. Your number one call you're going to make, it's not a cold call, it's your sphere of influence, just to touch base. And you're going to start off those calls with a nice little dialogue. And it is, I apologize, I haven't spoken to you in about 3 years. I value our relationship, but it's my fault. I haven't touched base and etc. And touch base with them. That's okay. Another way to do it is if you have touched base recently, you're making a business call up front. Okay, so let's say you have touched base within the last year. You already built the relationship. But then that first call will be, hey, it's Aaron Richardson. How are you? Or Aaron, because they know me. Hey, it's Aaron. What's going on? And they're going to say, oh, not much. How's your life? I said, well, you know what? I'm actually this is a business call today. right? I'm building out my business for the spring. You know, the market's turning around. It's going to go crazy. And I just want to get my listings in place and be very, very organized this year. I was hoping you might be able to just let me know if you know of anybody who's looking to list their house this year. And that could be a call. Another one is it's Aaron calling. I'm going through my CRM. It's one of my New Year's resolution is to be more organized. And I'm going through my list here, and I don't have your actual address, right? Okay. Are you still at jimsmith at gmail.com? Yeah. Okay. You know, obviously they called the phone number is correct, but I don't have your address, right? So hoping I can get that from you. Okay. I'm going to, you know, just keep you up to date with the real estate market and probably pop by and give you a little gift in the spring. Have that conversation, but make it about business up front. And then you're going to say, by the way, how's Jill and the you know, and the kids? How's everybody? But push the personal to the end of the conversation and then do the business. Make sure they know it's a business call, because you don't want it to be ungenuine either. So you're going to make your calls part of your business plan. Another way to do this is divide your list, 100 people, into 11. So 100 divided by 11, probably looking at nine calls a week. That's what you're going to do. And you're going to put it into so you're going to down here, you're going to put 9 calls a week, and you're going to hold yourself accountable by putting that into your phone. I'm just going to put phone to remind, right? And you're going to do that with the next 3 weeks as well. Just get that set up, right? Your calls. It's a call program, right? The other thing is note cards. So we're going into the 4 things, if you did it really, really well, that would produce a $300,000 result. Okay, note cards is the 4th thing I would suggest you do. Okay, I just got a note card from somebody in the business. I get a few of them every year, especially around holiday time, handwritten, right? And note cards, when you look at forms of communication and you look at personal, how that makes you feel, you're like, wow, they took their time out to give me a call today. That's important. They took their time out to pop by and give me a gift. Oh my goodness. The 3rd best, and I'm almost thinking it's 2nd best other than face to face, and for some people it is the best, is handwritten notes. Because to take the time to now write something out by hand is nobody does anymore. And those handwritten notes are taken as a personal. I mean, I remember in my lifetime, the only person that ever wrote me handwritten note, there's 2 people. My grandmother used to always do that, you know, happy birthday, you know, it's handwritten. My parents gave me one, you know, of course, when I got married and different times in life, I just remember these handwritten notes. They're so important. And then I'll give you one more, Leon's. Leon's actually had a program in place where they were giving handwritten. And when I got that handwritten card from that salesperson from Leon's, I was like, wow, they've definitely got somebody that's implementing something because they know the importance of it. And it was funny because, and I'll always use that. I'll always know that. So when your realtor writes a handwritten note, they'll remember it probably for life. Yeah, you know, you know, the only other person who wished me a happy birthday and didn't do it automated, they did it by hand, was my realtor. So note cards can be a really, really good program. Buffini system is all built on note cards. And by the way, if you do newsletters, pop-by calls, and note cards, you're doing the Buffini system, and you don't have to spend $800 a month on coaching. You don't have to take their program for $400, although I think it's fantastic. If you do the 4 things and actually put it in place this year, okay, you'll be better than 95% of realtors, even that take Buffini's program, because many people take coaching, take programs, and don't put anything in place, right? They never follow through on those actions. So last one, I'm going to say last one, do 4 really well. Okay, whatever 4 you choose within this business plan. So we are going to put up something in place for note cards, 2 a day. Even if you did 1 a day, guys, I'd be happy with that. Even 1 a day, note card, 1 a day. And you're going to work probably 44 weeks a year times 5 days is 220 note cards. So you're going to put in there 220. Projected that I'm going to do 220 note cards. Let's do 210 just to jump through 21. 210 and times that. What's it going to cost you? Is it still $1 for mail? I don't know anymore. I haven't been doing my note cards, obviously. So if you go buy stamps, whatever that is, let's say it's $1, plus the note card. So let's do $1.50 times 210. So you're going to spend $315 this year on handwritten notes. Calendars, maybe you're going to send out, does everybody know what a calendar is? I don't care if it's a magnet, desk calendar, a wall calendar, just something. Calendars is like the age-long realtor thing to do, right? It's like my realtor sends me a calendar every year. It's just kind of one of those things. But you know what? It works. So calendars, 100 people, 100 calendars. So you're going to do 100 of them this year. And maybe the calendar is costing you $3, $300 or something, plus shipping. Maybe it's $500. So that is what you're going to put your budget in for calendars. Events, if you're a top producer and you're killing it, okay, you've got lots of clients every year. I don't even care if you're a top producer. I'm just saying they would typically, the top producers get to the point where they're doing all these things really well and they implement an event. This is something that takes time, effort, money. Most people that do an event, especially when you're reaching out to 100 people and you get 50, 60 people there, there's a cost, pretty good cost to that. So let's say next year you're going to do one event and you're going to spend $5,000 on that event, right? That's another opportunity. So now we're much more past 4. I want you to pick 4, right? And ones that make sense in your business, right? Birthday cards, another one of those programs that I personally never got in place, but wanted to, because I wanted an automated system. I'm a bit more on the automation side of things. So I got a newsletter system put in place and calendars that were, paid, sent out, done. But the birthday cards are one of those things. And it does take some time to hand write the birthday cards, but some people are really good at it and they'll do 100 birthdays. So 100, and then again, birthday card, etc. Maybe you're going to spend $500 on a birthday card program. Or maybe you can find an automated one that actually they've got those printers now that you put the pen in the printer and it actually handwrites. So it makes it look like it's your handwriting. So there is some technology there that I would love to really hone in on and get that automated. And then the last thing is emails. Do you know why I put emails down at the bottom? Because it's the least effective. And it's the first thing everyone does. We all know we have a CRM system. We turn on newsletters, we turn on special occasions and greetings as nurturing programs within the email program. All it takes is a check mark and it's done for you. It's very low in terms of money, time spent, all the rest of it. It's also the least personalized. How many emails do we all get a day? How many of them go into our spam? How many of them are from people that are just, let's be honest, lazy? And they just send a newsletter. It's like your insurance broker, they put you on a drip campaign and it's just like, yeah, State Farm. I used to be State Farm, Desjardins. My guy had been with them 20 years. He sends me one all the time. It's just newsletter about insurance. Don't care. I know he sends it, right? I'm using it as an example today. So it does work. I'm not saying don't do it, but don't think that email touches is what's going to make you 300,000 this next year. Okay, that's not what's going to make it. Is it going to fill in the blanks and some people? Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to send, I personally there is an email newsletter program. I'd rather you do the email newsletter program than not do it. And if you're not doing the physical one and spending money, okay, I'm telling you this year, you've got to do the newsletter physical. But if for whatever reason you don't, and you do email touches, you're about 30% as effective. Okay, so that's fine. 100 times, let's say once a month, right? So 100 times, so 1,200 emails is going to go out, let's just say. It's actually more than that. What I used to do is the newsletter program by mail, and I still do it. I mean, it's just it's set it, forget it. The newsletter program by mail, and I did the email touches as special occasions only. So I did, Happy Thanksgiving, Happy New Year, Happy Valentine's Day, that sort of stuff. Because I found there's a little more personality to that. Whereas an email newsletter is like, why do I care in an insurance, for the insurance newsletter I get? Why do I care? Like, I just don't care. I know it's business, but it's a reminder that my insurance broker, he's no longer a friend of mine. He was a friend of mine. Now he's an insurance broker. And that's how I perceive him now, because he's reminded me all the time, I'm in insurance. If anybody ever needs a person to do insurance, Desjardins, I got your guy. So email touches, and that's going to cost you nothing. So there is your system, your business plan, right? Right from newsletters to pop buys to calls to note cards to calendars and events and birthday cards. And now I know there's some probably other creative ways in order to stay in touch with people. Maybe, part of this is also a social media component, right? So I'm finding with sphere of influence nowadays, the social media will take place of a lot of these programs, not take place, but it will add to these programs in order to that they see you, that you're selling. But I want you to know that it's really difficult on a sphere of influence program for your social to guarantee those 100 people are seeing you unless you pay. Okay. And the reason why is if you ever see the engagement on some of your posts, the engagement's going out to 50 people. And that's out of your 3,000 that are on there, or 2,000 or 1,000 that are on your program. Okay. So that engagement with social, you think everybody seeing your stuff? They're not. The way that the algorithm is used nowadays, it's, if you've engaged with that person over the last 3 weeks, 2 months, whatever that algorithm is, they might see your post, but most likely they are not. Your close relationships might be, your family's seeing it all the time because they're your family, and Facebook knows it and Instagram knows it. But for the most part, they've made it pay per play from a business standpoint. That means you got to pay to do it. So if you ever look at those boost ads, and in terms of maybe putting a budget towards it, and we're going to get to paid advertising, and that's why social media is in the paid section, is because you need to pay to play on social now as part of a business plan. So if you're doing any of those videos that's taking a lot of your time up, make sure that you have a paid program in place. So as you can see here, I've got what I'm going to do next year. You can always look at what you did last year and then your results and stuff. So that's why this section is here. So if you have your business from last year, put that into here to see where your business came from, right? This, by the way, supports the friends, past clients, referrals. This supports this. This is the 15 deals came from these actions and this total amount. So we've got 2,100 plus 1,000. I know I shouldn't need a calculator, but I just figure it's the best way to be accurate. The big one is the event this year we're going to do for 5,000. So let's be honest. This is for somebody that's probably making closer to 20 to 25% return because they're top producers and they've been doing this for a while. So if we wanted to do everything amazing, your budget this year is $9,400. Sorry about the justification on that, but 9,400 to make 300,000. And by the way, if you did all of these, this would be closer to 20 deals. This would be closer to 400,000. Okay, because I happen to know, like, if somebody's killing it with a business plan that's doing every single one of these, they are doing 20 to 25% return on relationships. Okay, and then your action plan below, we're going to transfer this action plan onto your phone, right? We're going to put these dates into your phone as reminders for accountability reasons. So that's your sphere of influence. When you get into paid advertising, you're choosing where you're going to pay for advertising. It's completely return on return on investment. This is return on relationships. This is return on investment. Okay. So when you look at this, and just so everybody knows, if you've raised your hand, or if you're doing any, if you're chatting with me on the chat, asking any questions, I will get to the questions at the end. I'm just doing this to get through. So we have a very clean video and program for the Excel platform and training and everything in the future. So I don't have to go through and edit out all the questions. I will get back to your questions for sure, just so you know. Okay, so paid advertising is the second part. So paid advertising is money, right? Return on investment. So decide where you want to put your money and budget this year. You already know, most important, your 10,000 is going to make you 300,000 or more. And you're going to say, okay, well, I'd like to put this also towards maybe farming, and maybe that online thing that Aaron's talking about, maybe sources Facebook and Instagram. Whoops, Insta. Okay, and maybe I'm going to put $1,000 towards, it's actually Facebook and Insta because it's the same company. Right, so paid, that's your boost posts, and maybe you're going to boost posts for $2,000 this year, and that was maybe what you did last year. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to go budget this year is $2,000, and You know what, your projected dollars this year for return on it, you're just going to support this SOI. So that's the 300,000, right? You're really going to sit now, if you decide to do Facebook and Instagram, for lead gen for new business, maybe you're going to put 5,000 towards that. What should you be expecting in terms of return on that? And it sort of always comes back to a 10 times. You're looking for about a 10 times return on things. I know that is where I look for my farming. So if you're doing farming, it's a 10 times return. So if I spend 5, I should make 50. So let's say you do want to make 50,000 on Facebook and Instagram, but the type of ads you should be doing in here is driving results for landing pages within your websites. And to be honest with you, if you're looking for a lead gen return on social, I would stick to something like our Lead 21 program. I'm not just saying that because of our lead, we have a program, because I know that 10 years of watching and helping people through the Agent Locator Lead program, that is always the consistency of production. There's other programs out there and you guys get phone calls and emails from them all the time, different companies selling you leads. You can try them. I've had people come, should I try it? Cost $10,000. I'm like, it's a lot to spend on a lead gen program if I don't know that you're a converter of leads. And those converter of leads are very few and far between, people that can actually follow up 10 times on every single lead. The numbers, there's a numbers game with lead gen that you have to be good with before really investing that type of money. But if you decide to spend some money on a lead gen program, that's okay. But let's say you decide to go 5,000. I happen to know the Agent Locator because they're local and they have produced results. I know that the 5,000 can make the 50,000 if you're good at it. But I would definitely speak to Linus and our management team before making that investment. Just make sure you get through the training program and that you're converting, following up on all your leads. So these are different things that you can, there's a lot below to choose from. Benches, buses, that sort of stuff is part of the farming program. So if we're going to start a little farm area, I might spend 8,000. It's usually where I'm getting it at, about $8,000 to start off. You should be eventually making 80,000 a year on that. But I'll be honest, in the first year, if it's your first year, I'd put 0, because I want you to have the expectation of knowing when it comes to farming, you might get one deal. I'm gonna put 20,000 and double end it. Let's say 40,000. But I do want you to have the expectation when your first year is that you might only do one, or double end and do 2 deal, like meaning buy and sell. So you get their listing and they're buying a property. So maybe you'll make 40,000. And if you do it right, you can do this in your first year. But I want to have the expectation level that somebody's going to spend 8,000 to make anything from farming until the second year, because it takes a while for people to know you're the person to use. Doesn't mean it can't be done, but you have to do it so consistently. Door knocking, it's part of a different business plan. So if you're doing farming, leads, or Instagram ads, or any of these programs, it's not just a matter of putting it here. It's a matter of doing a whole business plan with regards to that one other source of income. And that's along with prospecting too. So when we're talking paid advertising and prospecting, any of these things is business plans. So the action plan needs to be a business plan. Oops. And I'm going to put farming as example, and the goal date. So I'll have that done in the next 4 weeks, right? Put a date on that. So that business plan for farming is a separate business. We have training on farming, and it really is a full out, not just sending flyers, right? You're not just paying, it's part of a bigger program. Okay. So put the action plans of what you decide to do, whether it be the Lead 21 program, call Linus on that one, or go into your remarketer. It's on the brokerage hub. You can fill in the form. He'll call you. And that is goal date maybe in the next 1 week, because that's easy to get in place. That's if you're doing lead gen, right? So these are paid advertising. If you already have a good sphere of influence in place, you're doing all these things. Okay, you're making your 300,000. You're adding in one other paid advertising program this year. Maybe you have farming going, so you want to add Lead 21. That's okay too. But don't do it all, guys. If you don't be here going, okay, I'm going to do all this and all this. That's not what we want you to do, because you won't do one thing well over the next month or two. I want you to really look at, and that's why we're in our coaching program, we're going to start really with everything here. And it's going to take eight different, it's going to be 8 weeks. So yeah, it's actually going to be 16 weeks. So it's going to be 4 months of going and looking at every single one of the 4 or 5 things we're going to do really well in the sphere of influence. And we'll get into some of the other stuff as well, but one thing at a time, everyone. Okay, moving on. Prospecting. Prospecting is your time. So we're leveraging time or money. If you don't have the time because you're doing this part-time, put the most important stuff towards your sphere of influence. Maybe look at paid advertising because you have a steady flow of income. Take a budget of the income you're making at your other job, put it towards leveraging money over time. If you're full-time at this and you need to fill your week of 40 hours, then you prospect, get out there, do a door knocking program, a cold calling program. Make sure every weekend you're doing open houses, get into network groups and trade shows and churches and organizations and sports and your gym and all the different things where you're going to build relationships. This is prospecting. This is getting out and spending time doing something as a volunteer, whatever it may be. Okay. And it's really easy to fill in a spreadsheet, guys. Decide which one you want to do and fill that in. How many doors do you want to knock on this year? Break it down by the week, right? How many doors you're knocking on every week and what you're going to get in terms of results. Now, great question I had the other day, and it's good because we have this little worksheet, was, well, how do I project how many doors should I knock on and what sort of response am I going to get, or what sort of goal am I going to put here? I do like to do it in a reverse format. So if I want to, I've gone through a little bit of a process at the top here in terms of paid advertising and what sort of, amount here. So let's say 140,000 I want to make from paid advertising, let's just say. And then I'm going to make 300,000 here and say, I'm going to be up to 600,000. So I've got 3, 4, 40. So 600,000 minus 440. I'm just trying to come up with an idea of how much I want to make in this example. So 160,000 prospecting. So I'm going to say I want to make 160,000 next year prospecting. I like to work backwards on this because the numbers line up and it'll tell you how many doors you have to knock on. Okay. Divide by your average commission. We already said 20,000. So 160 divided by 20,000. So that's 8. Sorry, 160, 8, good. And that equals the amount of transactions I'm going to need to make 160,000. So 8, right? Divide by the listing presentation success rate. So just go through the numbers, you'll get it in the end. So 8 divided, let's say do 8 divide by 33% divided by 0.33. That's 24. So I need to go on 24 presentations if my listing success rate on average is 33%. We took these numbers from a NAR statistics, National Association of Realtors. So 33% is the average. You go on 1 in 3, you get 1 in, you go on 3, you'll get 1. And then divide by the average success of a lead. So 24 divided by the lead, which is 10%, which is 0.01. Oh, sorry, it's 0.1. So 24 divided by 0.1. 240. So we need to make 240 good contacts this year. Divide by the number of weeks you're going to work. It's 44 divided by 44. That's 5.5 contacts every week. And the industry success rate of a door knock is 2%. You knock on 100 doors, you should be able to get a 2% success rate in terms of business, right? So if I do 5.5 contacts per week divided by 0.02, that's 272 doors per week. Okay, if you work three days a week, divide that by 3, that's 90 doors every day. So action plan, start knocking on, sorry, it's 90 per week. So if I go I said 3 times a week. So I'm going to say 90 book in 3 days a week, 90 doors a day. And put it into your, so I'll go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, make sure you find out how many, use about 25 doors per hour, right? So let's say you go 3 hours a day for 3 days a week. That's 9 hours a week. That's what you're investing into 160,000 return, right? So I like this little worksheet because it does give you an actionable goal for an actionable result. So 90 doors a day. And if you're not getting that results because your dialogue, it's your program you need to work with. And again, it's part of your business plan. It's another business plan. So if I decide to do door knocking this year, we said I said 272 per week at 160,000. Okay, 272 is per week times 44 weeks a year, because that's what we want to work, is 12,000 doors. Okay. And to give you an idea of where people are at with this, I happen to know an agent in town that would knock on every door in Newmarket twice a year was his goal. So it was about 80,000 was his goal. Now he was a $2 million producer. He, every single morning, 5 days a week, between the hours of 9 and 12, he would door knock. And in the afternoon, he'd cold call between 2 and 4. That was his day. Every day he had 5 hours of the day that were geared towards prospecting. And I know that he wasn't as strong in his sphere of influence. He didn't have the events and they didn't do the newsletters and the pop buys. He was a prospector. That's what he did. Door knock, cold call every single day. Got into the habit many years ago, obviously in great shape, because he was, he actually, when I was selling and I had a team on Main Street, we got a phone call because they thought our team was him. He thought they just called a number that they thought was his, to complain about him because by the time they got to their front doors, it was 9 o'clock in the morning. I suggest 10 to 1 or something. But anyway, 9 o'clock in the morning, this person got up out of bed or whatever they were doing, got to the front door, and he was already 2 doors down. He power walked. He knocked, saw that nobody was home, his card in the door, moved to the next house. So he was a power walker. And his again, networking with him, he said his dialogue was, my name's Aaron Richardson. I'm just stopping by to see whether or not you're looking to buy or sell real estate in the next 6 months. It was just so basic. And that's how that's just what he did. I'm not saying that's the best business plan for door knocks. There's other plans out there of what to say at the door, but that's one of them. Okay. Cold calling, same thing. Okay. But you're doing it quicker. And I find it just double your values for the same result. So 24, and this could have changed a little bit over time. So these numbers might be slightly off, but let's say you want to make 2,400 calls at about 520 per week. And the commission goal is the same, right? So let's say those are your cold calling door knocking programs. To the basics, guys. I'm not telling you that you have to just make these calls, you get these results. You could put this into your own plan. If you've got time and you want to prospect because you don't have these other 2 things. Another great example is a lady came into the Richmond Hill office when I was managing that office. She came from Montreal and she says, I have no friends. You're the only person I know here. I just moved here, got my license. You're the only person I know. I said, well, put me in your CRM. Just one person. I said, but you can't leverage your sphere because you don't know anybody. So you need to find people. Do you have money? No, got no money. Got nothing to put towards advertising. I said, all you have is time. So I need you to get out there and door knock. She goes, I don't like door knocking. I don't like cold calling and I don't like people. I pretty much shook her hand and said, good luck. You're just not going to make it in the industry, right? I didn't say that to her. I should have, be honest, because it would have saved her about 2 years. But 2 years later, she was out of the business. Right. She came to training. I saw her there. Hey, what's going on? Still haven't talked to anybody? No. Don't know anybody? No. Join a gym? No. And that's just not it. That's the wrong mindset. We go back to mindset. You've got to change, get outside your box, outside your comfort zone, meet new people, put systems in place. And that's why you've got 3 sections here. You get your, sphere of influence, put down who you know, decide if you're going to do any paid advertising this year and leverage money or your time. And there are other things here. Open houses were great. That was one of mine, right? 2 a week. Again, I've spoken to a lot of agents, as you can tell. Again, the top one of the, I'd say he at the time was the number one agent in his area. Signs everywhere, right? And I knew sort of how he was doing his business, but it was interesting because I sat down, took him out for lunch, and just kind of asked him questions. And he says, when I got into the industry, I told my wife, I said, I'm not gonna have any vacations, not gonna go away, and I'm gonna really concentrate for the next 2 years on my business. That was his 2-year business plan. He said, all I'm gonna do is knock on doors and host open houses. Those were his two things. Unfortunately, he built his business on a really crummy model because he bought his business through a discounted commission. It's one of the reasons why I want to sit down with him, because he was saying, I'll do it for free. Right. And he just was putting together a very unhealthy plan. But a lot of people used him because he was just, so he got a lot of signs and he bought his business and all the rest of it. But he did 6 open houses every single week. It was 2, 4, yeah, it was 6. So he would do Friday. No, it was 5. Sorry. Friday night, he said, when people were coming home from work, I did between 5 and 7, which was interesting, right? I didn't know anybody who did that. And he says, I do one Friday night, 2 on Saturday, and 2 on Sunday. And I would borrow listings. I would do whatever I'd have to do in order to get in front of as many people. Get one listing, there was 5 open houses every single week for that one listing. So the Friday night, the Saturday, he'd do 11, I think it was like 11 to 1 and 2 to 4, right? Different homes or whatnot. And then the same on Sunday. And not only that, at the time, he was able to put a sign on every street corner. So he's like 25 signs out every weekend, balloons on every sign. Like, my name was everywhere because I was able to do that because, a sign on the end of the street was allowed. Now I know municipalities have cut back on that, so it's not as easy to do that. But open houses is a fantastic form. And if you ever really want to do an open houses right, watch Pam's presentation on open houses, and that is on our Excel platform as well on YouTube, etc. She does a great job of how to prepare for an open house and do it really effectively and get people converted into clients. So it's another one. So you might decide open houses this year, you're going to do 44 of them, one a week for 44 weeks, right? So you do 44, one a week, and that's not going to, yeah, in terms of converting on open houses, I don't have a number system for this one. I really don't. If you did 44 open houses, Pam would say you'd do like 50 deals. Like, honestly, she would, and she could. I mean, when she sold 250 deals in 1 year, so she would be picking up a person every week. But let's be honest, I mean, no, we're not all that good at converting and like the way she was. But I'd probably say at a 44 weeks a year, wow, you'd be picking up client every 2 weeks, and then let's say 25%. So that's 22 clients times 0.25. I'd say you're going to do about 6 deals. 6 times 20,000, let's say, per about 100. I'm going to say 120,000 through open houses. Like, look at these are, if the business plan's done really, really well, all of these are 100% at law of averages, but you have to do it really well. So that's why I'm keep going back, do one thing really well, move to the next. You really should have 3 things for a complete agent. Plug for my coaching February 5th. 3 things really well. 1, sphere of influence business plan. 2nd could be a paid advertising business plan with Lead 21. And 3rd could be open houses. And do those 3 things really well, have a business plan for each one of them, separate to this plan, and follow through on it. And that will be your business plan going into next year. So now you're going to say, you've got the business plan in place, you print this off, you put it on your, your wall of, motivation, maybe at your office and whatnot, and you put these action plans into place. But how do you hold yourself accountable to follow through on those 3 things you want to put in place? One is you want to do one thing at a time. And the second, I'm just going to switch over to week and month at a glance. So week at a glance is looking at a week and saying, what are you going to do on Monday mornings, Monday afternoons, Monday evenings? And the first thing you're going to do to organize yourself is you're going to put together your personal stuff. So if you've decided that Friday night is date night, you're going to put that in here, date night, right? And you're going to put that as blocked off. You cannot do anything Friday evenings because that's your date night. That's with your husband, spouse, wife, whatever. And then so that's morning, afternoons, and evenings. You're gonna, let's say, every morning between the hours of 7 and 9, it's working out at the gym. So you're at the gym, right? And let's say you do that 4 times a week, then put it 4 times a week. In the afternoons, you're doing prospecting. In the evenings, you're showing houses. Tuesdays mornings, I'm going to our training. We're going to do, learn. Every year should have something in place to be consistently learning new things and whatnot. So you put those things. Now, this week is not next week. This is every week. So really, only put the things in you're going to do consistently every single week. Okay, until it changes, because this will change. So you're going to fill this in basic on a week at a glance. And then what you're also going to do is month at a glance. So if there are things that you're going to do the second Tuesday of every month, because you're only doing that once a month, not weekly, you're doing it monthly, then put that in there. So week 1 of every month on Tuesday, week 2, week 3, week 4, put week 5, just because sometimes there's that goes into next week, but you could take out 5. You're very rarely going to use week 5, but 1 through 4 you're going to use, and you're going to just put in, what is it you do every month. That's the second week. I happen to know in mine, for example, Thursdays, it's the second Thursday of every month is our office meeting, or it's our office meeting. And that is 10, or I think let's say 2 to 4. So I know that's there, right? I happen to also know that the town hall is the 4th week of the month. So I put the town hall. So it's blocked off. This is when somebody says time block, literally this is time block. I'm more digital now, so this is a great visual, but anything you put in here on those 2 pieces of paper, you're going to transfer over to your phone, and it's a reoccurring event all the time, right? So it's blocked out on your phone. I use the calendar on my phone. Google Calendar is great in order to time block, but this is where you're going to put, within a week at a glance, you're prospecting. You're going to go cold calling 3 days a week. So you're going to do that, or door knock. So door knock from 2 to 4, and you're going to do that 3 days a week. So I'm just going to do a copy, paste. Oh, guess it's didn't do the copy. Copy, paste, still doesn't like me. Door knock. And then that's date night, but I put it in the wrong spot. It's not liking my cut, paste. There we go. 3 days a week. I don't like how it's justified, so I'll just bring it down. Right. And this is a good visual too for those that like paper and like to put it up in front on like a bulletin board in front of your desk or whatnot. This is a great way to make sure that you're organized this year and follow through, that you're door knocking the afternoons on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And again, you transfer that over to your phone and your calendar. So it pops up and say, you should be door knocking right now. And you hit, I'll be there in 5 minutes. So your week at a glance, your month at a glance are 2 just very basic accountability tools that everyone should have in their business plan to make sure that you're following through on the actions that are going to produce the results. Okay. There is even a year at a glance. If you want to create a year at a glance is things like business planning in January. This is what we do as a company. We look at a year ahead and say, where's our training, our support, our seminars, and we plan the year ahead. Like every January is business planning, because you want to be set for the year. So you might do the same thing in your business, is decide, come taxes. That's another good one. You go back to your tax worksheet or your taxes and make sure that your taxes are done early this year. So you put it in your year at a glance, you put it in your calendar and make sure your taxes get done. By the way, biggest thing for real estate agents to get out of hand, because we're historically not good at organization, and what we do is we let it get up ahead of, like, we get the money in our bank accounts, and then we spend the money, and then it comes to tax time. Oh, I'll have to make more money this year to pay for the taxes of last year. We don't want to do that. Just so you know, as a company, we do have a program in place where our accounting department can create an account for you specifically for taxes. So let us manage it for you. We'll put it into an account. I used to always hold back gross 15% of my gross all the time into a tax account and all my HST into a tax account. And then once a year, I'd call Daniela and said, I need my taxes, and she'd cut me a check and it go to my taxes. So that's how I organize myself from tax standpoint. I suggest you do the same thing. Mindset, focus on the relationships and foundational programs and add 2 other sources and focus on them with week and month at a glance, making sure that you're holding yourself accountable in your phone and reminding you to get those actions done. I'm calling it the complete agent is the coaching that I'm doing coming February 5th. I know it's on the schedule for the 29th. We're making an adjustment there. Unfortunately, it's a very important event I need to attend. So we're doing it Monday, February 5th. And we're going to do a little different this year. We're going to put these things in place in terms of your mindset and your organization. It says competence. So really, making sure that you're doing everything the right way. So compliance, prospecting, relationships, buyer journey, seller journey, putting everything together to be a complete agent. Now we're going to use real life case examples with agents that have agreed to open up their life and their business plan so that we can focus on those agents while you're focusing along with them and seeing those objections to things like, I don't want to do a newsletter program, it's too much money, all these sort of things that people say. I don't like door knocking. What's another way in order to get business, and I don't have a personality. So we're going to really break apart and hold somebody accountable, a couple people accountable, and we're going to double their income next year. That's the goal. And you're going to see it in real life, real time. Okay, we're going to be doubling these agents' incomes, including your own if you follow along. So that's going to be February the 5th. And then that concludes the business planning seminars.